to be very honest, my life began at the age of 19 when I met Vaani for the first time. The first meeting was the most, dumbest of all meetings, I guess. I just saw her with her dad, and I liked the dress she was wearing. I think she was wearing a brown sari. So I met her for the first time at Bharati Vidya Bhavan, and during those couple of weeks that we met a few more times, an instant bond was established, I can say that. But things changed very dramatically through a cultural program that the college had arranged. Now, I'm not the sort of person who can sing or participate in any cultural program. So I was part of the guys booing every performer on stage. And it was also natural for me to be hanging out with the girls in the class, not only from my class but from other classes. So I was like on the back row of this auditorium at BVB Mylapore. I had 6 girls on my right and 6 girls on my left, and I was right in the middle of all of them. And we were, booing every performer on stage. And then suddenly Vaani comes. I didn't even expect her to be there. And she comes and she takes the mic, and she sings Tere Mere Milan Ki Ye Rehna from Abhiman. And something happened to me, I just stopped fooling around with the girls that were sitting on either side of me. I got up and I moved to the front of the auditorium, right to the up to the front row, right in front of Vaani. And I just sat there completely mesmerized. The only emotion I had was jealousy, because the guy standing next to her and singing, I thought I should be there for the male lead. So that is how it happened,
जैसे खेले चंदा बादल में खेलेगा वो तेरे आंचल में चंदनिया गुनगुनाए. So we started like hanging out together, and we would go by PTC bus. In those days, MTC was called PTC, Palawan Transport Corporation. So we used to go by bus,
in fact,
stand in bus stands.
Enga kaadale PTC bus la dhaan. So and we are very grateful to route number 26.
Yeah.
So one day I just was dropping her back, and it was a half moon night, and we were under this beautiful rain tree, and she was wearing the same sari that she had worn at the cultural program where she sang Tere Mere Milan Ki Ye Rehna. It was a magical night, and I struggled for a little bit how I'm going to say it, but I finally said it this way: aren't we getting dangerously close to each other? And she replied,
I actually didn't know what to reply. So, yeah, then I quickly said yes.
in 10 years, I had moved from Indian Express to India Today to Business World, came back to Business Today magazine, tried a couple of flings in the corporate sector, traveled the world, had 2 children. Everything happened in a space of 10 years, and I was running the rat race, literally. I think what was burning inside me was, as a child, I had been always told that I was good for nothing. And here I was wanting to be successful, I wanted to be rich, and I wanted to be famous. So I just quit my job 1996, July. It was before Aashirwad's birthday.
Yes.
And we had moved from Bangalore to Chennai by then. Came to Chennai, and we set up our consulting firm. The firm did well initially. It grew very fast. Some very marquee clients were handled by us. We were in the unique space of reputation management, and we even got voted as the best reputation management firm in the world by the Reputation Institute in New York. What we will do is we will grow our firm. So we brought in debt from outside between 2003 actually, and 2005. We brought in a lot of debt in the form of personal loans, in the form of loans in the name of the firm, and started funding the expansion of the firm uh, across India. So we had moved from one office in Chennai to 6 offices, and we had moved from a team size of about 10, 12 in 2003 to about 40. All of this was done with the faith that whatever business plan we had will work out. But life doesn't happen in business plans, and we ran into a phenomenal financial crisis that we were not aware of at that time. Even in 2005, we were not aware of the extent to which we had dug ourselves into a hole. On 31st December 2007, we woke up in the morning to discover that we had just 2000 rupees left with us. All the bank accounts were empty or running in deficit. The jewels had been pledged. The LIC policies had been redeemed. We had no real estate ever. We had no investments in the equity sector, in the financial markets to claim. And we had borrowed from every single person we knew. 2000 rupees is all we had, and we didn't know what we were going to do in our life. That day we met a friend and also our lawyer, Mr. Vijay Raghavan, and he said, "Avis and Vaani, please understand, you guys are bankrupt." That's when that word kind of struck me here. Bankrupt? Jesus, that's what we are. That night, I came back home battered with Vaani. A friend had visited us, we had a few drinks, and as they left, I walked into the bedroom. I saw Vaani sitting on the bed. I went up to her, I held her hand, and I said, "Mom, I'm sorry for what I've done. It was my hunger for success, my wrong decisions largely, which had landed our firm in such a big mess. Not only our firm, but our family. We had that night, and we still have it, 5 crores outstanding to 179 people. So we're talking about banks, we're talking about financial institutions, we're talking about non-banking financial companies, we're talking about financiers, we're talking about conservative financiers, family, friends, credit cards, statutory dues. 5 crore rupees. And I asked Vaani this, I said, "Mom, I don't know how long this is going to take. I don't know how far we have to go. Will you walk with me?" And she said yes. She still gets very emotional when she deals with it. And she said, I've walked with you all your life, all our life, and I'll walk with you, however long this takes and however far we have to go.
A lot of people ask me, how did you take it? I mean, did you not, I mean, would you have blamed your husband? That thought never crossed me. I think also because, I was part of the business. I was also involved. I knew what exactly went wrong. And, it's not about a blame game, or it's not about him being a provider to the family. It's none of those things. Um, to me, if I look at it from a husband and wife point of view, I think something about him which I liked, which I told you was his straightforward behavior, being extremely ethical. As long as none of those things changed about him, the change situation of not having any money, it didn't really bother me.
I think what this entire phase has taught both of us is that life just happens to us. We do make mistakes, we fall, and the important point is to accept that mistake and learn from it. Not all problems can be solved immediately. So we learned a lot of patience fundamentally through this experience. We learned the value of acceptance, and how acceptance actually, what acceptance taught us is that it is possible to face a painful situation in life and yet not suffer. Suffering comes into our life when we resist what is happening to us. So we started accepting that, hey, we don't have money, people are going to be judgmental, people are going to condemn us, write us off. Let's just live with that reality. Let's not try to resist it. So when there is no suffering, there is a lot of peace and calm within us. There's a lot of turmoil outside. There's no money. Recently, as in just about less than a year ago, we came to a situation where we were left with zero cash. The last 80 rupees we had with us one day, last year, 2014, we gave it away to an auto rickshaw driver for auto fare. A friend called us to his house for a meal, and I said, I can come to your house because I have auto fare to come to your house, but I don't have auto fare to come back. So he said, don't worry, I'll have you dropped. So when we got off from the auto, we gave that money off. 4 times last year, we went through spells of zero cash. So you can't even step out. So living without money is difficult, but it doesn't mean that we are suffering. It's extremely painful, but we eradicated the suffering by not resisting the situation. And that's what, Vaani and I are very great believers in what the Buddha has said. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. If you are in love, you're rising in love. You cannot be in a difficult situation being in love. If you are finding difficulty, then you are probably not in it anymore. I think love is truly independent of circumstance. As long as you are relating to somebody, you are loving. It is a continuous process. It's present continuous. A relationship puts a full stop there. Relating is a present continuous tense. So I don't think loving has got anything to do with circumstance. You can love somebody irrespective of what situation they are in, as long as you are feeling and you're relating for that person. So I don't find any difficulty about it. I'd like to see if she has a different point of view.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I first of all don't know how people can fall out of love, because I don't know, it's difficult for me to understand that, because then I think your love is based on circumstances outside of the person, because if you really are in love with a person, then how can that love change? Because the external situations are changing, the love should not change, irrespective of what. There is this P. Sushila song, old song, which says, Tangathile or kurai irundal, Tarathinil kureivadullo, which means that, is it just because, you don't like the way a gold ornament is, does it mean that the quality of the gold is bad? It doesn't, right? I mean, the quality of the gold is 24 karat. That's how it is, irrespective of the way it's shaped. So it's like that. I mean, love is pure. So it shouldn't and it won't change. If it is true love, it shouldn't and won't change, even in difficult circumstances. That's what I believe.
I think that's what loving is all about. It's priceless. I mean, how do you define Vani saying yes under a rain tree 28, 27 years ago? How do you define and put a value on that? If she had not been there, I wouldn't have had somebody to walk with me every step of the way. So I don't think I would say it's about difficult situations. I think the difficulty is in the loving itself. If you're not relating to that person, then you see the difficulty. If you relate to the person, then you don't see any difficulty. Going through a situation, a crisis is not easy, obviously, and especially in a real world where so much is dependent on money. Living without money is not easy. We were gripped with fear, insecurity. I mean, what do you do when you just have 2,000 rupees left with you and you don't know what to do? So we were gripped with fear and insecurity, but through that process of dealing with both, we found courage and eventually became fearless with the situation. We went through agonizing periods of self-doubt and self-pity. And we overcame that with faith, not in some external agency, but a faith in ourselves that if we have been created, if you have been created, we will be taken care of. We will be provided for. And of course, when we make mistakes in life, you know what? I pissed off 5 crore rupees through stupid decisions I took with the business. And this money doesn't even belong to us. It belongs to those 179 angels. So you can be overcome and gripped with fear, anger, grief, and guilt. And I think the important point is that first I learned to forgive myself. I discovered and I understood that mistakes happen, you know. And then we learned to forgive ourselves together, you know, for the fact that we had signed on all the documents asking for the loans and accepting those loans. Forgiveness heals you. And through that process of forgiveness, we found that we were lost in life at one point when we didn't know what to do. From feeling lost, we found focus. We found that it is possible to live in this world without money, as long as we are committed to our inner core, our purpose, our inner joy. And through the process of finding focus, we actually discovered that it is possible to be happy despite our circumstances. You know, in ancient philosophy, there is this concept of the rota fortunae, the wheel of fortune. What it basically says is that the king, there's a picture of the king, and the king is on top, and there's a picture of the same person at the bottom of the wheel, which is the picture of a pauper, but it's the same person. So what it basically means is that the wheel of life goes round, and you can be a king someday and you can be a pauper another day. Now, this doesn't particularly apply only to a bankruptcy situation. It applies to anything in life. You can be on top and you can be at the bottom. So as long as you are at the periphery of this wheel of life, what will happen is that you will always be dealing with the ups and downs of life. But imagine you are at the middle, you are in the center. There is no way you can be moved. If you ask us what is the learning we found from this entire experience, the learning is that stay centered. Stay centered within yourself, and for us both, I think it's staying centered with each other. We let go. At some time in life, you have to let go. There are two kinds of problems in life. One that you can solve, and one which you cannot solve. Now, the problems that you can solve, there is no point worrying about them because you have solutions. But here we have a problem where we don't have a solution. We don't have a solution. We've tried for jobs, we've tried for work, we've tried to lead a life of dignity despite the chaos and the cashlessness we have been through. But the problem is not getting solved. You know, it's there. The money is there, still owed to people. So we just let go and we say, at least let's not spoil the moment in which we are and live in the moment. So that's the big lesson. You know, let go, be in the moment. In the moment, there is only happiness. And of course, there was a time when I used to think that, you know, I am Vaani's husband. I am the provider for the family.
Absolutely.
I am the CEO of my firm. And all of that has changed now. I think life happens not because of us, but in spite of us. And that learning has made us both feel better from the experience, not bitter from it.
Absolutely. You know, this whole concept of people wanting or believing that they control life. You know, each man is, you know, what he makes of himself, and those kind of bravado statements, you know, it's nice when you're young, but as you grow older, you realize you really don't control anything. You know, it's crazy. I mean, you think you control things, you control nothing. And life, as he said, just happens to you. And you learn to live with it, accept it, And the quicker you learn to accept it without resisting, the happier you'll be. Or you could spend a lifetime resisting it or resenting what happened. And you can be, it's very easy to be unhappy. It's not so easy to let go. I mean, people have come and asked me, how can you let go? I mean, it's a whole lot of money. You owe money to people. How can you do this? We are trying, we are still trying, except that it's not happening the way we want it or as quickly as we want it. So, a lot of things in life we don't control.
One of the biggest blessings in my life is obviously the fact that Vaani is with me. There's this German philosopher who has said this, Friedrich Nietzsche has said this. He said that it is not the absence or lack of love that ruins marriages. It's the lack of friendship. And I think we both continue to relate to each other and we have a strong friendship. And relating, therefore, is not about the relationship. It's not husband and wife. I think we are the best of friends. And relating is being there for the other person, no matter what the issue is, what the circumstances, what the behavior of the other person is, or what time we are going through. I mean, at a very simple level, we used to have a lot of money and we have no money now, but that has not changed the relating between the two of us. So that's why I love the whole concept of rising in love, something that Osho talked about. He said, rise in love. And his argument is beautiful. He says, people fall in love, and those who fall in love fall out of love. But those who rise in love keep rising. So I think Vaani and I, it's been 28 years, and I think it's beautiful because we continue to rise in love. One more thing which is unique is when you let go, miracles happen to you. My own brother once asked me, miracles how come miracles don't happen to people like me, he asked me. I said, I don't have an answer. I don't know why miracles are happening to me. I don't know why miracles are not happening to you. But I think when you examine life deeper, we are all miracles, right? I mean, the fact that you and I have been created as a human being, fully endowed, and we are not swines who give the flu, but are human beings who get the flu. Isn't that a miracle? So, the beauty of this lifetime of ours, this existence of ours, is that if we let go, life will take care of you. So every single time that we've been at the edge of that precipice, we have been bailed out by that unseen hand. Now that unseen hand, people will say is God's hand, and I would say it's, there is another way of looking at it, which is people often say that God comes in human form. If that is indeed true, we have seen that happen again and again and again and again. People have walked into our life. So whether it was, sometime back, Aanchal had to go to Scotland and her dance company was funding the whole trip, but still you have to send somebody abroad, you have to give foreign exchange, right? And where is the money going to come from for this foreign exchange? We had no clue. And suddenly a friend walks into our life and says, what's happening to Aanchal's trip? He lives abroad. And when I said we're still figuring things out, he just pulled out his wallet and thrust a few dollar bills and a few €100 bills into my hand and said, send Aanchal. Now, at a very material level, things that we need have got taken care of from time to time. So I would say at the end of the day that yes, we are in a crisis. We don't know when this will end. We owe a lot of people money. Some people have been nasty. Some people have refused to understand us. Yet, there are a whole lot of beautiful people out there. The world is full of kind and compassionate people. People that we know and people that we don't know. And to quote Louis Armstrong, I'd like to just say, what a wonderful world, full of beautiful people.
I think my parents' relationship is a very special one. It's one in a. It's definitely a very unique one. Can't really say I've seen. I mean, I of course I've seen a lot of happily married couples, but in the face of adversity, I guess people don't really talk about it, so it's hard to know. But I just know that it's a really difficult thing to have a relationship like that, and they've somehow managed it.
It's so rare, no, to find two people who are um, so so in sync with each other, and it's so true. Their relationship is so true, so honest, and I think what really stands out to me is at the bottom of everything, it's a friendship that they both share.
Seeing them really amazed me because they've been through so much and still they're together, they're happy and very much in love, and that was very inspiring for me. It really struck me very hard because all I have seen over and over is dysfunctional relationships, people giving up on each other, being very materialistic and not being friends. There's so much of hate which is thrown at each other in relationships, and it was amazing to see these people go through such a tough time and hold hands all through it and thrive, not just survive, they thrived through their relationship.
You know, in the course of my career as a lawyer, I come across different types of couples and people. And while we have learned not to judge people, because each couple is a product of its own upbringing and background, I've always thought for a lawyer it's great to see a couple like Vaani and AVIS for the simple reason. We see so much discord, unhappiness, negativity amongst people that once in a way, when we come across a perfectly bonded couple, our faith in humanity also goes up, because we lawyers are also human, you see. Once in a way, we would like to believe in a dream that it does exist, this true love and bonding.
I don't think they've come out of it yet. I think they faced it together. They are facing it together. They're continuing to struggle. But they have learned to keep the ball rolling and live in life together. And I think that's what is most important. Be it in family, be it in partners in business, be it in partnership, in any relationship. If you cannot be together and see things together, I don't think you can travel in the same direction at all.
Palakkad jokes and all kinds of humor that Avis has, and Vaani sings, and he's the first one to hug her and say, can I hug her in public, and can I appreciate this song. When you say things like that, you think, this is a part of a script of a movie. It can't be happening in my home, not at dinner time, So these things are very real. So this is what they are. They're very real people, and for real people to continue to be in love years after they're married and years into problem 1, 2, 100, whatever they are facing, is something that you hear of, and you might hear in a TED talk. Okay, you might hear it in Ink Talk and TED Talk and other inspirational videos. But here they are in flesh and blood, and you can see them happy. And it's not they're putting up, I think if they're putting up a big mask and they're putting up this big act, fantastic actors. I don't think they're very genuine. You can't act every day of your life.
I would like to have a live-in relationship with Vaani, because I have stopped believing in the institution of marriage. I don't think we are together because we are married. I think this world is getting it all wrong. I tell my children also that, just because there's a piece of paper or a religious ceremony, it's not going to keep you together. People say, I fell in love, I got married, but then things changed. I mean, life is about change. People will change, I will change, Vaani will change, everybody changes. Continuing to love is more important. So I would just say, come on, let's start living with each other. That's what I would do.
Come with me, that's what I would say. I love your eyes and your dimples. That's what I would tell him.